Kenny Reed 868 asks this: will there be no more sea in a literal or figurative sense as it relates to Revelation 21 verse 1? Now the literal view would say that when John says there is no more sea, he literally means that in the new heavens and new earth, there's no ocean. In the figurative view, it's to say that John is trying to indicate that chaos and disorder have been done away with. Now, while I never want to say what God will and won't do definitively unless he's expressed it very clearly in his word, I will say that we can narrow this one down a little bit and come to an understanding about what the author was trying to communicate to us. Revelation 21 as a whole is a descriptive and poetic picture of God's kingdom and the restoration of all things. And there's a lot of language in this section that points directly back to Genesis. In Genesis 1, it says, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth." In Revelation 21, John says, "I looked and saw a new heavens and a new earth." Beginning in Genesis and going all the way through the rest of Scripture, the sea or the ocean is representative of the chaos waters. It represents destruction and disorder. But it's also a literal place, a literal thing, the ocean. We all know it. In the time periods that the Bible was being written in, the sea was a place of fear. It's a place where people would go and they would drown or face storms or difficulty, and they might not ever come back. It was a place of unknown, and they lacked control here. So it was kind of a frightening thing to think about. So when Genesis says that God created the sea, yes, we know that he created the very literal ocean. But also when he separates out the chaos waters of the sea from the ordered nature of the dry land, we also know this is symbolic of God separating out order from the disordered state that creation was in before this. Now, I can't think of any good reason why God would want to get rid of the ocean and all the creatures that live in it. After all, he looked at his whole completed creation and said it was very good. But I can see how the removal of chaos and disorder and destruction is something that John wants to emphasize as he receives this amazing vision of God's kingdom and his new creation. So while I can't say that God at some point might not have some reason to get rid of the actual ocean, this one, in keeping with the tone and context of Revelation, does seem to be symbolic.